Tired of the same old think, pair, share? Are the same kids dominating small group discussion? Is the structure of class discussions not supporting the resistant, struggling, and at-risk learners? Fear no more. Save the Last Word is here to help. This engaging activity is intended for small group discussion in a manner that allows students to feel safe sharing their opinions and teaches them the benefit of examining multiple perspectives. The activity engages readers during and after reading, stimulating active reading by having the students read between and beyond the lines, making the students both text critics and text users. The flexibility of the lesson allows it to be used across multiple disciplines, and students of almost any age range would be able to quickly catch on. Oh, and the best part, all it takes is the student guide, a text of your choosing, some highlighters, and a few note cards. So now that you have a quick idea about the benefits of Save the Last Word, let's go over how it works. First, look at the student document shared with you. This student guide is handed out to everyone in class prior to the students reading, so they understand how to actively read the text and what they need to do to be prepared for their group discussion. It walks the students step by step through the process and is available for struggling students to return to throughout the lesson if they get lost. The premise is relatively simple. Students read a text individually and highlight 5 different statements that they would like to discuss with their group. Students write those 5 statements on separate index cards and then write a short 2 to 3 sentence personal reflection on the back of the corresponding index card. After all students have their 5 statements and personal reflections written, they are placed into prearranged groups. One at a time, students share one of their statements by reading it aloud to the group and showing where in the text it was found. The student who read their statement is then silent as each group member takes their turn, sharing their thoughts on the statement. At the end, the student who selected that statement flips their index card over and shares the last word on that statement with the rest of their group. This process then repeats itself until every student has had the opportunity to share one of their statements and have the last word. Depending on time, students may share one or all of their statements with the group members. All right, now let's walk through the process from the teacher's perspective, one step at a time. Step 1, find an engaging text. Don't just pick something because the teacher edition says to. Pick a text that is valuable to your content and that you want students to really think about and discuss with their peers. Step 2, pre-select groups of 4 that your students will work in. I suggest using heterogeneous grouping. Step 3, hand out a copy of the student guide. If this is the first time doing this activity with the class, take it slow. Read through each of the directions on the student guide. Potentially model the activity for the students with a note card and personal reflection you made ahead of time. Step 4, hand out the text and a highlighter. Get students prepared to read by reminding them that they need to highlight 5 statements that make them think and that they would like to discuss further. I do not recommend handing out the note cards until students are finished reading. This allows students to actively read and ensures that they are marking in the text where their statement comes from, as they will need to show their group where in the text the statement was from. Personally, I also do not recommend assigning this card as homework. Students who do not read or do the homework will then be left out of the next day's discussion, which defeats the purpose of a discussion activity that actively engages everyone. Step 5, walk around the room, ensuring students are on track and that they are highlighting the text. If a struggling student is having difficulty locating statements, help them by pointing out areas that made you think, or something from the text that you think relates to the student. Step 6, once all students have finished reading, distribute note cards and have students write down their statements, one per note card, and then on the back side of each note card, remind students that they will be writing down their personal thoughts or reflection on that statement from the text. Step 7, after students have written down their statements and reflections, have them get into the groups that you pre-assigned. Step 8, have students all pick one statement that they would like to talk about first. Then have the group select a person to share their statement first. Direct students to their student guides and tell them to start their discussions. Step 9, as the groups begin working, make sure the students that will share their statements are not discussing, only reading their statement and showing in the text where it came from. Make sure that students are each taking a turn and that no student is dominating a group. If this becomes an issue, you can always put a time limit on the responses. Finally, make sure all students are given the last word when everyone in their group has finished discussing their thoughts. Step 10. If you would like students to share more than one thought, continue the activity. Otherwise, before wrapping up, I suggest a whole class debrief on the activity so students can discuss what they learned, how they heard the new perspectives, and if anyone changed their mind on their thoughts. Although this is a simple discussion activity, there are ways to accommodate and modify so all students are able to fully participate. If you have students who have learning disabilities or still becoming proficient in the English language, you may want to provide a document with annotations on it to help them comprehend the text better. For other students, you may even want to provide them with a pre-highlighted document that has 7 or 8 pre-selected terms highlighted. Let the students know that you thought those would be interesting and that they can choose from them, or they can find their own if they so choose. Depending on the text in the content area, you may also provide graphics and images that support the text for all students to further their understanding. Another way to accommodate is to be smart when grouping. Don't put all your struggling learners in one group. While creating the groups ahead of time, make sure that group members will be supportive of each other to ensure everyone feels comfortable sharing their views. Although you do not want all of your struggling learners in one group, you also want to ensure that nobody in the group feels inferior to everyone else in their group. Hopefully, this quick walkthrough of Save the Last Word has gotten your interest piqued and you are already thinking of a text that will work in your content area. Before we leave today, let's quickly talk about what text you think would work well in your discussion in your classroom. And remember, if you would like assistance in implementing this activity in your classroom, please let me know. I'm happy to help.